going to jump into Fluke for real right away here. Some names to talk about. Some we already mentioned. Starting out with Jordan Love, 32.6 fantasy points. Wes, is Jordan Love back? Is this a fluke? I mean, what do you think?
I think that you can depend on Jordan Love to get you around 20, maybe 25 points. I think 30 plus points. Again, this is a 6-point scoring system that we're reading off of for touchdowns, passing touchdowns. I'm not going to count on 30 plus points again, but I think Christian Watson is going to be, and apparently Jaden Reed, are going to be enough to get Jordan Love above 20 points. And if you are thin at quarterback, or you had Joe Burrow and you're trying to figure out something else, or maybe you were rocking Josh Dobbs and you just found out that he may not be the starter, I'll say for real, if you need just a decent floor, I'll say for real on that.
Yeah, I mean, this is similar to what we saw at the beginning of the season when when Jordan Love was doing really well, and it was because he was getting the ball in the end zone in the air. That was how he was really putting up his fantasy production earlier in the season. He comes back to it on Thanksgiving Day game, and we'll see if he can continue. It'll definitely be good things to come, and those young receivers look good in Green Bay. So, team might be sneaky good.
Yeah,
might be a sneaky good team here. Could sneak into the playoffs. Who knows? I know they want to get Aaron Jones back. Bijan Robinson. Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
Arthur Smith, thank you. Thank you. Wow. You did it. You used your high draft pick. This is incredible. What a day. What a moment of rejoice that we're having here. 27.3 fantasy points. He had 22 opportunities, 19 touches, 16 carries for 91 yards and a touchdown, 3 catches for 32 yards and a gorgeous touchdown catch. 27.3 fantasy points for Bijan Robinson this week. Awesome performance from him, and something we definitely love to see. And the Falcons are somehow competitive in the playoff race because they suck and their whole division sucks. And they are. This is ridiculous. All the Bijan Robinson owners collectively rejoice. Wes, how are you feeling about Bijan?
Yes, that is the practical reason I can say this is for real, because the Falcons have a legitimate shot to make the playoffs because of how bad the NFC South is. And when you have the talent of Bijan, you see what it can do, and they have a chance to host a playoff game this season. So there is real reason to say for real, instead of just try to preserve him and get him going for next year. No, the Falcons, for whatever blind reason, think that they have a shot to make the Super Bowl, and I'm going to buy it for my fantasy playoffs, baby. Let's go.
Yeah.
Bijan.
We were waiting on this for Bijan, go. And we finally got it. It's exciting times for sure. Hey, Wes, I want to come back to something because we sometimes have a history on this podcast of talking poorly about a player and then they start doing really well. And okay, Trevor Lawrence, okay, I'm sorry, I guess, for saying I was dropping you and I was going to start Josh Dobbs over you, and we were both very comfortable starting Josh Dobbs over you. Because, dude, he is freaking lighting it up now. He had a 30-point week last week. He had a 27-point week this week, more or less. 364 passing yards and a touchdown. A rushing touchdown with 0 rushing yards somehow because it was like a 1-yard tush push pretty much, and then he kneeled the ball down at the end of the game. So that was a hilarious stat line. With Trevor Lawrence, West, is there a correlation with Zay Jones being back on the field that somehow this is where the offense opens up? They feel like they can be more aggressive. They feel like they can do more things here because, I mean, not only does this go with Trevor Lawrence, we'll just loop in his top wide receiver from Sunday. It was Calvin Ridley, who had 21.8 fantasy points, 5 catches for 89 yards and a touchdown, and that was pretty much all in the second half. So is Zay Jones the Jaguar whisperer? What are we doing here? What's going on?
Training camp, there was a lot about Zay Jones. And he was a big piece in kind of the muse of the Jacksonville offense and all the anticipation. I don't think anyone would legitimately say Zay Jones is their best weapon or their best player on offense. But I think maybe as a whole, the Jags need everybody on the field. I'll also remember never to draft Trevor Lawrence again. And I'll just trade for him at the deadline because apparently his
Right.
first half is complete garbage and his
Yeah.
second half is historic. So
Yeah.
I will just remember this, say this is for real, and next year I'll skip over him and then I'll trade for Trevor Lawrence or pick him up off the waiver wire because I dropped him or somebody like yourself dropped him,
Yeah.
and we'll just go from there. But this is for real, and this is going to keep moving. Again, speaking of real playoff contention, the Texans are right there. I know they just beat them,
Yeah.
but I mean, the Texans are trying to still win the division. They're not just in the playoff hunt. They're trying to win the AFC South. So Jaguars got to keep going, and they got to keep going fast. And so I'm going to buy in on the Jacksonville Jaguars yet again.
Yeah, I am too. I think this is for real with Trevor Lawrence, with Calvin Ridley. I think this offense is going to need to keep pumping. I mean, there's a reason this game came down to a 60-yard field goal that bounced off the crossbar and out. Like this game was competitive to the end, and it's Trevor Lawrence acknowledged it. He said, I want to win as many games as possible, and with CJ in this division, that's going to be tough, and it's going to be fun competition for many years to come. So potentially a new rivalry there in the AFC. It's going to be a fun time to watch.
Don't forget Anthony Richardson when he's back.
Oh my gosh, yeah, Anthony Richardson. Don't forget Will Levis. Oh, come on,
and
baby.
Will Levis,
man,
baby.
What a division, man. Oh man. the Mayo fraud of the 21st century, Will Levis. There you go.
I hate Will Levis. Sorry.
Point blank. There you go. That's
true.
it. Listen, Rashee Rice. Oh, baby. Oh, man. We finally got the breakout. And listen, I hope you were following us over on X, on Twitter. There was a notification on Sunday morning that officially Kadarius Toney would not be playing in the game, and Mecole Hardman had been placed on IR. And the early on in the season success we saw with Rashee Rice, where he showed his really nice flashes when he was getting some good targets, was when those two guys weren't very involved. Obviously, Mecole Hardman gets traded to the Chiefs. Rashee Rice, we said, hey, maybe get him in your lineup here. It could be a reemergence day, and boy, oh boy, was it. 10 targets for Rashee Rice. The consolidation when those guys weren't out there of targets to Rashee Rice was awesome. Exactly what we wanted to see because he is super talented. 8 catches for 107 yards and a touchdown, and the touchdown was awesome. Showed what he can do after the catch. He was just a speedster down the sideline. Really, really great stuff from Rashee Rice with 24.7 fantasy points, though, Wes. What do we think on Rashee Rice?
No question. This is for real. I mean, we've been waiting for a Chiefs wide receiver to emerge, and we knew it was going to take some time. That's why when we started out the regular season, we said don't start any Chiefs wide receivers because we don't know who it's going to be just yet. And we thought perhaps it could be Rashee Rice. We thought perhaps it could be Kadarius Toney, given what he did in the Super Bowl against the Eagles last year. But it has been a slow progression, and we have seen for several weeks now, teams are containing Travis Kelce, and it's forcing Mahomes to look elsewhere. And when you have 10 targets for 100+ yards and a touchdown from Patrick Mahomes, you are important to this offense, and that is for real.
Yeah. No, 100%. And we're going to see this potentially even in a higher fashion for at least the next 3 games with Mecole Hardman being on IR. He'll be out for at least the next 3. So Rashee Rice should be truly a strong flex contender and in consideration for your lineup at least for the next 3 weeks with Mecole Hardman on IR. We'll obviously see with Kadarius Toney, but Patrick Mahomes worked out with Rashee Rice in the offseason before the draft, felt really good about it, told the Chiefs that he wanted him. And he's had some bad drops, but he's still got 10 targets in the game. He still has the trust of Mahomes. So exciting stuff to come for the rookie wide receiver. Another rookie wide receiver, and we mentioned him already, was Zay Flowers. And Wes, me and you been so high on Zay Flowers since the preseason. We said, hey, with Mark Andrews out, he could help you out with your playoff push. He could be a playoff push hero. And look at that, 23.2 fantasy points. He had 5 catches for just 25 yards, guys. We lucked out with the touchdowns here, but this was a
Right.
really strange offensive game for the Ravens. Only 20 points scored against not a great Chargers defense. So, but 8 targets on those for those 5 catches for 25 yards and a receiving touchdown there, and then he had the carry at the end of the game, which actually won me the week in the Trollers League, Wes. It was
Very
coming down to
nice.
it. I was very close here, and it was going to come down to Ty Chandler getting me about 8 points on Monday Night Football, and clearly that did not happen. But when Zay Flowers takes that handoff from Lamar Jackson, gets into the end zone, puts out a second great celebration on the night. Great time for Zay Flowers owners, and great things to come for Zay Flowers continuing without Mark Andrews. I think we're both in agreement on this one, yeah?
Absolutely. And just for clarification, because you may look at the stat line and just as you pointed out, 25 yards for 5 catches. I mean, yeah, you think about Gus Edwards, where it's like, oh, if he doesn't get in the end zone, he's a terrible week. Well, his previous game, he did this already. This was the exact stat line he had. It was just a penalty and out of bounds.
Yeah.
He had a rush that OBJ apparently held on, and that rushing touchdown was called back. And then he had an incredible touchdown catch, but his feet were out of bounds. This is what he does. So I know the 25 yards doesn't seem sustainable, but this is what he is doing. And whether you have Rashee Rice or Zay Flowers, I think you're in good hands with one of these rookie wide receivers that's really going to help the playoff push, I think, for a lot of people.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think so. And these 2 rookies are definitely going to be exciting to watch for many years to come as well. So good things coming here for the a few in the 2023 wide receiver class. Not so much for a certain Chargers rookie wide receiver. Oh boy, Tony Pollard, 22.3 fantasy points, second week in a row. Wes, you're making noises. What do you think about Tony Pollard?
Oh, because it's the PPR that is why I believed in him so much. I thought his PPR game was going to be so great, and no matter how I looked at it, I saw him as a top 5 easy going into the season. I put him as number 2. But I'm going to say for real. I think this is 2 weeks in a row that he's done this, and to do it again, and he has, and there's a reason we drafted him this early and you just stick with him, and hopefully you can find a rushing touchdown. But I mean, is there what reason would you say don't start Tony Pollard? Right?
Yeah, I think some people could be like, well, Rico Dowdle's emerging, but it's like, well, yeah, but it's still pretty clearly Tony Pollard's job. It always has been Tony Pollard's job. He just hadn't been scoring the touchdowns, and now we see he's scoring the touchdowns. So hopefully this continues, and it's a little bit of a scary kind of start going forward still. I think I'd love to see one more week of like, okay, he really is involved in the red zone packages. Yeah. He's really getting in there. So, I mean, he had a great touchdown run against the Panthers 2 weeks ago. Like it was fantastic. And then obviously the Commanders game on Thanksgiving night, he gets in the end zone there as well. So listen, I think you just keep rolling him out. I think you have to. And we were at a point where we were saying you have to bench him, and then he started scoring touchdowns. So now the touchdowns are here, and I think they'll continue. So there you go. I need to. I'm sinking down in my chair. I don't know if you see this. I'm going to pick myself up here because I need to be very, very ready for this next Fluke or for real.
Yeah, that's totally fair. Yeah, I was looking at the Cowboys schedule. They've got some favorable matchups as far as rushing defenses go. So as long as you can hold out against the Bills and the Eagles with Tony Pollard, you should be okay.
Yeah, we should be all right. And now, the moment we've been waiting for all season. The Muth is Luth, baby. The Muth is Luth. Oh my goodness. What?
Finally!
Did you guys hear that?
Did you guys hear that?
I'm scared. Listen, Pat Freiermuth, 21 fantasy points, 9 catches, 11 targets for 120 yards. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I was like, oh my gosh, it's finally happening. He is getting Luth. It is incredible.
He's
Listen,
Luth.
To me, this is for real. And listen, I may be talking about him a little bit later, but this is for real. And for me, Wes, I don't know. What do you think?
Of course it's for real. It's Pat Fryermuth.
Yeah.
Forget about it. He's been hurt.
He's been so talented. It's been such a bad offense. And, oh man, wow, they fire Matt Canada. And then now, of course, some players reach their potential. So there you go. Listen, it's for real. Roll him out. He's Luth. Why would you try and not?
So Luth.
Why would you try and contain the man who's Luth? Gosh. Christian Watson, we mentioned him a little bit there. 20.4 fantasy points. I think this is for real, Wes.
I think so too. He's proving to be what he was at the end of last season with Rodgers. He's good.
Yeah, 100%. Jacoby Myers. Whoa. A name I did not expect to see on this side of Fluke for real. 20.1 fantasy points. Wes, thoughts?
Unfortunately, I don't buy this, man. I don't.
Yeah.
I just can't. Sorry. I like him a lot, but no.
Sorry, Jacoby. It's not what it was when Jimmy Garoppolo was the quarterback. So this is a fluke. I'm glad you had a good game though. It was exciting to see. The first touchdown was awesome. Nice. Broke a tackle, getting in the end zone. It was really good stuff. So Tyler Higbee. What? I just 19.9 fantasy points. Yeah, naturally, when Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp and Kyron Williams are all active in a game, half the touchdowns from the quarterback are going to Tyler Higbee, who hadn't scored a touchdown all season. I'll tell you what, my team in the 32-man league was sure happy about it. I won there thanks to Tyler Higbee. So 19.9 fantasy points, but I don't think I can rely on this.
No, that's just on behalf of Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp owners. This is a fluke.
Yeah, 100%. Curtis Samuel on Thanksgiving, 19 fantasy points, 12 targets. I mean, is this a result of a great Cowboys defense and Howell had to get it somewhere, or what's going on here, Wes?
No! Don't trust any Commanders wide receivers. No! Don't! 12 targets is incredible. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Nope. Don't do it. Don't do it. Next up here, his one of his opponents on the other side of the field, Brandon Cooks, 17.2 fantasy points, 4 catches for 72 yards and a touchdown. Wes, what do you think?
I don't like the sustainability of his yards per catch. I don't like how touchdown dependent is. But that's for real, man.
I know, that's what I'm saying, dude. I hate it. I hate it so much, but it's so for real. Like it's ridiculous. Yeah. He's had over 14 fantasy points in 4 of his last 6 games. It's like, what is he? What's going on? I don't like this, but it's happening. It's a thing, and the Cowboys are so good. There are so many touchdowns to go around. And so many yards to go around that it's like, yeah, Brandon Cooks, we got him on the team for a reason, and we'll just get him some yards and some touchdowns. 17.2. This is for incredible. Real, and where I have Brandon Cooks, I'm rolling him out in my lineups. So that's I can't believe that's a sentence I'm saying right now, but it's for real. Jalen Hyatt, last one here for the good section of Fluke for real. 15.9 fantasy points, 5 catches for 109 yards on 6 targets from Tommy DeVito, Mr. Gabagool himself. What do we think with Jalen Hyatt here, Wes?
This is what he did in college at Tennessee, right? It was Tennessee where he got 5 touchdowns. You and I watched that game actually at a Buffalo Wild Wings coming off of the Rams-Panthers game last year. This is what he does. He is a deep threat player. He is a speedster. In fact, it was some statistic in the offseason, if I remember correctly, where he broke some record for like fastest clocked speed of this or something. It was like 23 miles an hour. It's insane. But not yet. He's a rookie. He's got a bad quarterback. No offense to Mr. DeVito, but this is not his year. Maybe next year when they figure out something, but I'm not going to use Jalen Hyatt to help me win playoff games in fantasy this year. So that is a fluke.
Yeah, I need to see it a few more times at least before I'm like, yeah, and I know we saw it in college like you said, but yeah, do it again. Do it again, and then do it again, and then do it one more time, and then I'll be like, yeah, okay, I might consider it. We'll see what happens.
The season's over. Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So next year maybe. That's it for the good side here. On the bad side, a couple of Rams wide receivers here. We mentioned them: Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. Puka Nacua with 6.7 fantasy points, 4 catches on 8 targets for 27 yards, and Cooper Kupp with 4.8 points, 3 catches on 5 targets for just 18 yards. What do we think, Wes?
They're becoming liabilities because this has been a few weeks in a row that they are losing us games. And it feels like this season for the Rams, as much as they are in the hunt in the NFC playoff picture, and as much as they want to fight, doesn't it feel like that it's just time to move on from Stafford? Like this chapter, like that great Hollywood story of Stafford being traded from Detroit and Cooper Kupp's Triple Crown season and OBJ's addition, and that was yesteryear. That's what it feels like. And as much as I like Puka Nacua, I call me crazy, but I think this is for real.
You're not crazy. I think this is really a chance to be for real. I mean, here's what the other side of it that I'll say, and what I'm trying to convince myself of here. Let me start with Cooper Kupp. I am worried about Cooper Kupp. He's had really kind of like one good game this season, and I was under the impression and thought process here that when Cooper Kupp returned from his injury, he would be the best wide receiver in fantasy football. He'd give us no other reason to think otherwise. He had been incredible with Matthew Stafford. And I think we've just made too many excuses one too many times now. I think it's been, the targets are there, but you know, it was Brett Rippon, or you know, he may not have been fully healthy. You know, he was coming off the ankle injury in this game. 5 targets. That's not who Cooper Kupp is. That's not Cooper Kupp. And here's what I'll say: the Rams were dominating this game. They were absolutely dominating this game through the run, through the dump off passes to Kyron Williams and Tyler Higbee. And maybe they just didn't need Cooper Kupp to be a real offensive factor. Maybe he was out there as a distraction, as a decoy. I'm a little worried about Cooper Kupp, though. I am, truly. It doesn't feel good if you're a Cooper Kupp owner. So on Cooper Kupp, that's where I'm at. On Puka Nacua, I am going to believe with Puka that was the case for this game. They were dominating. They were up so much. They didn't need to be passing the ball. Royce Freeman had 13 carries in this game. That's where they were at as a team. Yeah, it was just it was a very good offensive game for the run, and just some balls weren't going Puka's way. The 8 targets is what I'm holding on to, and the fact that in the next 2 weeks they play Cleveland and Baltimore. Cleveland, you can't really run the ball against, and Baltimore is a fantastic defense. We saw Justin Herbert just had to throw a ton against them. So that's what I'm holding on to with Puka. But if I'm a Cooper Kupp owner, I don't know if I'm starting him next week. Truly. Like it's going to be so hard not to, and it's going to be so hard also to start him. Like it's so difficult. I can't believe there's a conversation we're having about Cooper Kupp like this. But
I'm going to ask. Go ahead and finish that thought, because I'm going to pull some stuff up here.
You're right. It's just it hasn't been the Triple Crown season. The connection doesn't feel like it's there. I mean, we see it in the targets: 8 targets for Puka, 5 for Cooper Kupp. I mean, the thing I'm going to hold on to with Puka here is, you know, it was a down week against the Cardinals the last time they played. They ran the ball all over them that game. Kyron Williams was like a top 3 running back in that game as well. And then he came in against Pittsburgh. Puka was the wide receiver 5. And then a tough matchup against Dallas, where Stafford went out for half the game. Game in Green Bay, where they had Brett Rippon throwing the ball. First game back with Stafford, Puka goes for 18.7. And then they're playing Arizona again, where it was like, hey, we're just kind of running the ball. So I'm still starting Puka fairly confidently. But I don't know about Cooper Kupp. I have more I can't believe I'm saying I have more question about Cooper Kupp this late into a fantasy football season than I do about a 5th-round rookie wide receiver.
This is Cooper Kupp's 5th straight game under 7 points.
Yeah.
And let me ask,
so bad.
Would you rather start Cooper Kupp or Rashee Rice?
Oh man. Why did you have to pick such a good question? Oh, that's such a good who do the Chiefs? That's what I guess. Let's
Chiefs are playing
who do
the
Chiefs
Packers.
play?
Packers.
You can run the ball against
and
so well.
The Rams are against the Browns.
And
then next week, the Rams are against the Ravens. And then would you rather start Cooper Kupp or Zay Flowers after the Ravens bye week? That's where I stand.
Zay Flowers, I would start over Cooper Kupp in that game, I think. That's where I would
this
be
week,
in that game. It's so tough because you can run the ball so well against the Packers. So I think I would still start Cooper Kupp, but that's a long conversation I would have with myself in the shower. I would struggle with that so much. No, I think I would start Rashee Rice over Cooper Kupp. It's insane to say, but it just does. There's something off with Cooper Kupp. And if you've been keeping track, now that we've said this, he's going to go for 35 points.
Yeah, start Cooper Kupp now for 35
Here's your vote of
points.
confidence. Yeah, it's just such a disappointing outlook for Cooper Kupp the rest of the season. It feels like hopefully these next 2 games where they really will need to be passing the ball, hopefully they'll get him more involved and he can go back to what he used to be. But man, such a disappointment for both of these guys last week. Another guy here, Adam Thielen. 1 catch for 2 yards in a game where the Panthers had a chance to win. He had 3 targets. I don't know what practice was like this week, or if Vrabel just had such a lockdown on Thielen. It's shocker that Red Zone didn't show us much of this game.
Oh, wow.
What do we do?
More interesting when the fire alarm went off than this game on Red Zone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, with a team who just fired their head coach, we don't know what direction they're headed with after a 3-target game. Can you start Adam Thielen next week, Wes?
I think you can have the conversation still. I'm still willing to say that this is fluke because of the circumstance, and we know what Adam Thielen's rapport has been with Bryce Young, but I will need to be convinced, because if I've got any of these other people in this good segment, or I've got someone hot, if I've been holding on to Calvin Ridley this whole time, and it's Calvin Ridley, Adam Thielen, yeah, I'm rolling out Ridley. If I've got Christian Watson, I'll roll out Watson. If I've got Zay Flowers or Rashee Rice when Flowers back from his bye week, I'll roll them out instead. But if I'm looking at a desperate help, I think Thielen will be okay for that.
Yeah.
But I don't know if we're going to be at our 25-point PPR game that Thielen has been helping us win this whole season.
Yeah, and he hasn't hit that mark since before the bye week, since week 6. So after the bye, it has been 15.2, 7.9, 10.2, 15.4, and then 1.2. I think you can still roll him out. I do. It's his lowest targets of the season since week 1. And it's his worst fantasy game of the season, but he rattled off a 10-plus point game, 3 of the last 4 before this past week. He's still playing a ton. He had 11 targets, 6 targets, 10 targets, 11 targets, and then this 3-target game. So it's probably an outlier, but man, that's just crazy. Pretty unbelievable to see this happen. I was going up against Thielen in some leagues, and I came to a victory because of his poor performance. So definitely a positive there if you were going against him. But you'd probably keep rolling him out here. And then a few quarterbacks we're going to close out with here. Lamar Jackson, 16.98 fantasy points. I think this is what you sign up for with Lamar. Am I wrong?
I guess so. Yeah, I guess let's just end the conversation and start him. And some weeks you lose because of him, and some weeks you single-handedly win because of Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. He hasn't been
annoying.
Like consistently elite since his MVP year, truly. And so, I mean, this is a new offense we're looking at. I mean, who knows? We'll see what happens here. But Lamar, it's definitely just been an up and down season for you. Geno Smith, 7.3 fantasy points. Tough matchup here against the 49ers, but the Seahawks really just looked kind of lost all game. But I think it's for real with Geno, dude. I'm so disappointed.
Too. I am equally disappointed. We both thought he was going to be top 10 going into the season.
Yeah.
Jackson Smith and Jigba's on the team now. Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet. It's like, gosh, could you get a better, more loaded offense? Still nothing.
Yeah, 7.3 points. It's so disappointing here. DK Metcalf feels like he's been non-existent this season. I had him as a top 10 receiver coming into the year. And this is just I know that's the 49ers, but you have been able to pass on the 49ers this season. The passing game has been what's worked. The running game, not so much. And it was disappointing. Zach Charbonnet led the team in receptions on Thursday night. So it was pretty ridiculous there. Last one here, Justin Fields, 10.58 fantasy points. Definitely the low end here. He had the 2 fumbles that took away what was maybe a 15-point game. And they don't score a touchdown in this game. They kick 4 field goals and win. Disappointment for sure, but I'm not convinced this is for real. I think this is potentially a confidence boost and a win that he needed. And the connection with DJ Moore was there. Dude, his first drive of the game, he was making plays that I was like, yo, this is like Mahomes. Like he is poised. He is under pressure. He's getting out. He's making the throw. He's making impressive throws. And then the rest of the game, it was like, what happened to that guy? It was all dink and dunk after that. And so,
because the Vikings defense didn't change anything up. They didn't just start blitzing. It's just, I don't know. I'm a little worried about the rushing upside, because that's really what I sign up for with Justin Fields. But other than that, I think you give him another shot. What are you laughing about?
There's a silly something in our show notes that I saw that I can't say out loud that made me chuckle. So funny times here. We're always goofing off here for the troll fantasy.
Silly guys.